Hello, everyone, and welcome to the concession stand here on the KB Radio Network. I am your host, Kevin Reed, and welcome to the review of HBO Max DC Studios Peacemaker Season 2, Episode 3 review. And this episode is entitled Another Rick Up Your Sleeve. This is the TV show that is a part of the DCU and a continuation of the character of Peacemaker from The Suicide Squad, as well as Peacemaker Season 1, and oddly enough, Superman, the movie that came out this summer. This is a direct, I guess you could say, sequel or continuation of the events that took place in that film. So we are off and running in the DC universe, and I have been enjoying this show. I will go as far as to say 3 episodes in that I've enjoyed this show more than I enjoyed Superman, and I really enjoyed Superman. I have zero complaints, and all this does is encourage me moving forward in the DC universe. You know, there were some question marks going in with James Gunn having not his toe dipped in the water, not even his whole foot, but his whole body emerged in that pool of DC, and this is his story. You know, this is James Gunn's story involving all of these characters within the DC Comics universe, and I'm not mad at it so far. I know it can come off the rails fairly quickly with one misstep, but so far so good. And before we get into the review, in case you don't know, you haven't looked on social media or saw the headlines in the news, we are getting a sequel to Superman. It was announced yesterday by James Gunn himself on Threads or Twitter, wherever it was. He made that announcement, and it will be entitled Man of Tomorrow, and it will be released in 2027. And that may sound far away. When I first read it, I was like, oh man, we got to wait that long. And then it dawned on me, we're just a few months away from 2026. In 2 years, that makes sense, because I assume they're going to film next year before it can come out in summer of 26 or 27, I should say. And it makes sense. And in that sequel, he hadn't released the script, of course, but he did release a image, and it was of Superman, and it was from the comics. It is of Superman and Lex Luthor in his suit, in that purple and green suit that he wore that had I forgot the name of the suit. Oh, Jesus. It was right there on the tip of my tongue. Can't remember. But that's basically what the film will hover around, and I'm super excited for that. I am super excited for that, because one of the most exciting things to come out of the film, Superman that is, was Lex Luthor, Nicholas Holt's portrayal of that character. So I can't wait to dive not only back in David Cornsweet's portrayal of Superman, but Nicholas Holt's portrayal of Lex Luthor. But that's down the line. We're here today to talk about Peacemaker Season 2, Episode 3. We left off last week with Eagly going ham on those Argus agents that stormed Peacemaker's house, and probably one of the most gruesome Eagle attacks you're probably going to witness. But it was cool to watch. Last week we saw Chris, who is Peacemaker, go into that other dimension where his father is still alive, his brother is still alive. He had a relationship with Harcourt, and it was basically the life he wanted to live. So he goes there, following him killing that version of Peacemaker in that dimension, and pretty much assumes the role of that Peacemaker, and reaches out to Harcourt in a drunk text. So she answers and they decided to meet up. And so this episode opens up with probably one of the most shocking cameos, at least one I didn't see coming. I'm gonna be honest with you. I heard rumors of it, but I never thought that it would happen. We saw the return of Rick Flag Jr., portrayed by Joel Kinnaman, and who played him in Suicide Squad and The Suicide Squad. We all know from The Suicide Squad, Rick Flag Jr. was murdered by Peacemaker. So in this dimension, not only is he still alive, but he's banging Harcourt. So you have that element there. And already I am 100% invested in this episode. I was all in at that moment. I was like, yeah, I like where this is heading. Um, Chris, he's continuing to spend time in this alternate dimension. Uh, you know, it's, I guess you could say, soaking up the love and admiration that he's getting over there. See, in our dimension, or the dimension where the main timeline takes place, he's a loser. He's a loser. He's a murderer. He's I mean, just the scum of the earth where he's at. His friends are basket cases in some sense, and the woman he loves really don't want anything to do with him, and it's a mess where he is. Whereas in this dimension, he's on top of the world, man. He has his family. The woman that he loves is still there. There's still a possibility that's explored in this episode of them hooking up and linking up again, and he's being showered with love and praise as a hero by kids and women who show their boobies alike. And so it spans all generations. And so he is a top-notch superhero there. And quite honestly, I enjoyed this episode probably the most so far. Number one, this is the shortest of the episodes so far. We're only 3 in, but this was the shortest. I think it was only 40 minutes long, but we got straight to the point. But the most story was told in this episode, oddly enough, to say it was the shortest. And we got alternate versions of certain characters that I really enjoyed, and not so much for their characters or their versions of the character. It was such a departure from what we've seen them in previous either episodes or films in this universe. And to see him in a different light really shined a light on the performers here. Joel Kinnaman, as when he was in Suicide Squad, he was this hard-nosed army vet, super serious, never cracked a smile, and that type. And here he's goofy. He's goofy, he's silly, and all this here. Now, did it fit? Did it get kind of overdone at parts? It did. I was kind of taken aback in certain parts of this episode that he appears in. I'm like, okay, they're going a little too far with the silliness of this character, but it makes sense. That is a completely different version of Rick Flag Jr. And they really wanted to hammer that home. And so that point was well taken. But the most glaring was from Jennifer Holland, who is the real life wife of James Gunn. And for all of those people who scream nepotism and she only has the job because she's married to the boss and all this here, that woman can act. I can't picture nobody else playing Harcourt. She is so good in that role, and it really showed here. To see the difference between the canonized DC timeline that Peacemaker or Chris comes from, where she's this just hard nosed, I don't know, massive masculinity, however they described it in the first episode, how she's just deprived of human connection, and then she's just all about her job. She is a rough and tough young lady. You know, all the elements of a macho male wrapped up in this gorgeous woman. That's who she is. And to switch over to this dimension where she is your typical female that you find in most films, you know. I don't want to generalize it like, oh, she's a girly girl. It's not that. It's just she's night and day from what she is in our timeline. And she played it so good. So good. Even at points where you kind of squint. That's what I was doing. I was kind of squinting my eyes. Like, is that Jennifer Holland? You know, is this a different actress playing this role? She was so good in this episode. I really, really, really enjoyed her here. Chris, or John Cena, playing Chris here. Loved him here. Loved him here playing the oddball fish out of water in this new dimension, trying to pass itself off as that dimension's Peacemaker. Was fun to watch. You know, the interaction with his brother early on, and what John Cena did in the scene when he sees Rick Flag Jr. for the first time since he killed him. At least since he killed that the version he know. It was really, really heartbreaking because you can see the shame and the I don't know, embarrassment or whatever. I'm trying to think of different adjectives to describe it, but you see it all on his face, but he's trying to keep this composure like, oh yeah, hey Rick, you know, it's like John Cena, man. John Cena has come a long, long way, and I really, really have grown a higher respect for him as an actual actor. He not a movie star, not somebody who just appears in films, but an actual actor. And all through this character, that was so much of a throwaway character in the comics, let alone in the film, The Suicide Squad, onto his own show. And just taking the ball and running with it. And he's doing a marvelous job here, man. I'm seeing different sides to John Cena that I didn't think he had. You know, I'm a big WWE guy, so I've been watching John Cena for well over 20 years. And to see him at this point achieve this much in his acting career has been a joy to watch. You know, other wrestlers turned actors, not all of them hit. Not all of them can act, even though they act every week in the ring. You know, cutting promos, telling the story while they're wrestling and stuff. But it's different when you're on a movie set, and it's a hard transition. Look at Dwayne Johnson. Dwayne Johnson can act, but I don't think he found the right role yet, even though the Smashing Machine looks like that might be the role. Batista, Dave Batista, he's another exception. He's marvelous in the majority of stuff that he's in. So it's not easy. It takes a while, and it took a while for John Cena, and I think he's finally breaking through here. Just to sum it all up, you know, not a lot happened in this episode, but a lot was set up moving forward. We got the return of Judo Master in this episode. He's working with Argus now. Argus is kind of sniffing around Economos, trying to test his allegiance, if you will. Argus is about to storm. At least that's where we left off at. Argus is about to storm Peacemaker's house just as Chris returns from the other dimension, and then it cuts to black. And so it looks like we're setting up for something major and something big next episode. We did have action in this episode when Peacemaker, I don't know why, how am I blanking on the name of a character with the show named after? I don't know. But anyway, when Peacemaker took out the Sons of Liberty, about to say Anarchy, completely different show. The Sons of Liberty, when he took them out, and it was gory, boy. He took them out. It was my favorite kill. My favorite kill was the pencils. That was brutal. That was a brutal kill with the two pencils. But that was fun to throw that in this episode as well, and still keep the story moving. I was thoroughly entertained, and has been for the last 3 episodes of Peacemaker. I didn't expect to be enjoying it so much, because the first episode, even though I liked it, I felt it was kind of slow burnish, and I thought the rest of the season would be like that. And we still have a lot more to go, or a few more to go this season, and it can happen. So I hope I didn't jinx it, but no, the episode 2 and tonight's episode 3, it really wasn't a slow burn. We pretty much know where this story is going, but it still gave you a lot of room for some surprises. And James Gunn did tease. I think he said either 4 and 5 or 5 and 6 episode will be super spoilery, because when he released it to the media, or at least when DC Studios released episodes to the media, they only went so far. They didn't go to episode 5. They stopped at 4 or something to that effect. Wherever the big spoilery stuff is, that's where they stop, because it's major spoilers moving forward in the DC universe in this season. So I'm super excited. But even with that, I'm not even, if they don't tease you for anything moving forward, I don't care, because I'm so happy with what we're getting from this show, from these characters. Everything has been fun. Everything has been fun. It's been intriguing. It has been heartfelt at times, emotional at times. I have zero complaints, man. We are eating good. We are eating good watching Peacemaker season 2. But I would like to know, what are your thoughts of Peacemaker so far? Are you enjoying the show, or have you checked out? Or you was like, okay, season 1, I'm done. I don't need to see nothing else, or Superman wasn't your bag and you kind of burnt out on DC or comic book movies as a whole. I get it, I get it, but not for me. I'm loving everything we getting right now, including Peacemaker. But I want to know, do you love it? Email the show, kbradiopodcast@gmail.com. You can also search for the show on all social media platforms. Just search for the KB Radio Network. Also, don't forget about YouTube. Subscribe to the KB Radio Network channel, and like this video if you don't mind. Don't forget about the 5 stars, the reviews, and sharing this show if you're listening on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, iHeartRadio, wherever you are currently listening to the concession stand here on the KB Radio Network. Everybody, thank you for joining me for this review of Peacemaker Season 2, Episode 3. I'll catch y'all next week for Episode 4. I want you all to know that I love you, continue to love everyone, and until we speak again, you all be blessed.